try to outmuscle each other. I'm very curious to see how the bans in particular are going to shake out.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna be real. I imagine Ezreal gets banned, right? I feel like you don't be giving Ezreal over for free in the hands of Miela. It just doesn't feel like the right thing to do. But the Vel'Koz coming out, I think that's pretty standard. NNOwO also saying, we don't want to see no Yasuo Senna. We're gonna just get rid of that as well. We're not planning to play against that. For me, I think it's a lot about early game. So I'm expecting a lot of early game drafts to come through because I think both junglers utilize that. Both teams excel when they can really just crush that pre-15. So that's what I'm kind of expecting from these drafts.
A lot of jungle attention being paid, and no Rek'Sai for the side of G2 Hell, as we expected, but no Kindred either. Vel'Koz and Fiora, a couple very specific solo lane picks banned away. We have seen the Vel'Koz be banned away literally every time we have seen NNOwO on stream from Super Elchi, Sofjan.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of respecting what the enemy team has and knowing, well, we know how to navigate better other sorts of compositions. So let's just keep that at bay. That's fine. And from the side of NNOwO, man, taking out the Senna is just the easiest ban I could ever see. Because you don't usually ban the Yasuo. I mean, the Senna can have much more flexibility and versatility. If you take out the Senna, it's like when you take out the Xayah and then you just don't put Rakan, or when you take out Rakan and you don't put Xayah. So I think it's a similar matter. And then we're picking the Jarvan, showing us that they want to be early game pressure, but G2 Hell getting Sheena, the Elise, plus the Sion for Lysia. Yo, what are you thinking about that?
I mean, this is, for Lysia, I respect it because, I mean, we've seen Cassante from her in tournaments past, Gnar, Ornn, Gragas, Urgot. You see just a little more beefy champions, and clearly taking away the Fiora. Yeah, I panicked there for a second as well. This might be a hover as well, but again, Miela, the Ezreal is still open. We'll see how the rest of the composition shakes out. Top lane's still open. We did see them pilot the Jace Ezreal kind of very pokey composition in day one, but getting their hands on a hyperscaler like the Aphelios could be the move as well. Or just play Yasuo for the vibes. Play with another one. Play Yasuo Yone bot lane.
You 2 seconds?
It will be Kai'Sa. Oh, that's... I've never been more sad to see a Kai'Sa, Sofjan.
I thought we were going to go 2 for 2.
I don't think I'm sad. I think I had a heart attack. Like, for real, I had a heart attack like a couple of times. Man. All right, 10 seconds. They're just memeing right now. They're just memeing the Yasuo that was G2, the No Fury that showed up but never happened. So just memeing. Xerath confirmed for Tifa. I really like it. I know that Tifa's favorite is Ahri. Ahri was not off the table, but Tifa just thrives so well on a mage that controls the ground. So when you can just be at a distance, she knows that her team is going to back her up. So I think that's a good option. The Elise, it's so nice because she's going to have some sort of pressure in the early game. Not as great as Jarvan, of course. The early damage that he has on flat stats is just superior. But then she has so much versatility. Being Spider, being Woman Spider, and having range, melee. It's just really, really great. I like it.
And the Elise is the pick that definitely stands out here. Taking away the Rakan, though, as well, to kind of negate that additional follow-up engage. But seems like they are going to go, wow, a lot of support being targeted here, actually. Zedev having the Gwen taken away, J-Real. We'll see if we'll see what sort of things are locked in for support here, but a lot of attention being paid down there. Wouldn't even be surprised to see this Kalista locked in.
Yeah, we have seen the Kalista a couple of times. It is something that has been played by Kaltis. I think it is a really strong pick, and they are just going to lock that one in. I do have a feeling that G2 are maybe drafting in order and not necessarily the actual order that they drafted in here. But what I will say about the picks that we have seen so far, the Kai'Sa coming out. For a second, I thought we were going to get a 2 for 2. Right, obviously we got the Mordekaiser with the 2 Brazilians out here. I thought we were going to get a Draven as well, which obviously, for me, very much screams Brazil, but we aren't, alas. But one thing they have got is they've got the Orianna, which they played 5 times yesterday. The only other pick that they played 5 times was Rakan, which was banned away, so a smart one from G2. All in all, though, compositionally, they are getting a very good standalone team fight with a lot of early game potential.
And if they lock in the Ornn, again, it is just doubling down on that team fight. Thresh will be the final pick here, it looks like, anyway. Could be a hover. But, yeah, I mean, maybe they drafted in order. Either way, some solid team fighting compositions on both sides, but we gotta talk about this G2 composition. The Elise, to me, is such a game-warping pick. Sofchan, this is the pedal to the metal jungling that we are used to seeing from Sheena.
Yes, it is. And as I said as well, you're not just going to have a flat, very straightforward game style. Like for me, Jarvan, flag and drag, flash forward, take the kill, level 2. You're done. But when playing Elise, you just feel like there's so much more room for more creativity, where you're going to be going, what is going to be your focus. And looking at the side of NNOwO, that squad screams protect the Kai'Sa in a level that I can't even describe in words, because everything is just protect, frontline, shield, CC, knock up. So I think they drafted such a solid composition because they respect what G2 can bring to the table. So they really need to protect the only damage dealers in their team. Of course, the Orianna is going to help, but we know Orianna also deals quite a lot of damage.
And that ball is such a game changer, right? The shockwave is such a lethal ability. There's a reason that Super Elchi and this NNOwO squad, being as dominant as they have through groups, have played it 5 times, like you were saying, J-Real. And the beauty about the Kai'Sa is, yes, she can function as a standard AD carry where you just kind of click some heads and people tend to die, but getting into the backline as well, especially against an immobile carry like the Xerath, is another angle that this NNOwO composition can take.
It is indeed, and obviously they have the potential to do it, right? They have the Ornn, they have the Braum, they can close down on those backline members. But I guess the big thing that I got to think about is I talked about early game, right? I talked about both these teams wanting to get a lead, and G2 have done exactly what kind of sets that up. They've got themselves a very strong draft with the Kalista, with the Thresh, with the Elise as well. But I feel like they haven't guaranteed a late game assurance. Whereas on the other side, there is a little bit less early game, right? You have the Kai'Sa, you do have the Ornn, that's going to be quite scaling. Yes, you have the J4 to facilitate for the earlier game plays, but they're not necessarily going to be as strong off the bat. And I am kind of worried. It's a bit of a mixture for me where G2, one of our biggest issues with them is that they were getting a lot of leads in PF2, but sometimes they weren't closing out games fast enough, and this is something that is really going to show up here. If they don't close out the lead that they should get from their composition, they could be in really hot water.
I think you nailed it. That was something I wanted to touch on in draft, and I'm glad you brought it back up. Was the reason I said, "Oh, look, the Kai'Sa wouldn't be, or the Kalista rather, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case if they locked it in." But it was like you said, J-Real, it's because of the player, not necessarily because of the composition. Because a lot of this is very early game focused, right? And the Xerath can function in a number of different ways. That's your standard kind of, he's not like a hyperscaling Victor Azir type deal, but you don't have as much of that late game insurance. And usually that's what you drafted AD carry for, especially with something like an Elise, where you have again a mid lane combo where you like to line up CC with Elise to make that cocoon so much easier to land, get into spider form, wham, Q, percent missing health, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Sofchan, do you share these same concerns on the G2 composition, or do you think look, this is G2, they know what they're doing, just let them cook?
Well, yes, do let them cook, but at the same time, I'm so on board with what you guys said. And it's also about how they drafted the top lane, like a Sion. It feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel as much split push like you would feel from a Renekton. It doesn't feel split push, it doesn't feel very early game like you would be a Pantheon. So I'm trying to understand, because what you guys mentioned there is Xerath can do a couple of things here and there, not going to super hyperscale, not going to be as aggressive early game. The Elise a little bit versatile as well. So I feel like G2's team is a unique example of a squad that looks like it can build different things. Depending on where Elise goes, then you're going to have a better early game. Go in for Kalista. If you go for the mid game, for the mid lane, then you have Elise enabling the Xerath, and then you enable a little bit more the mid game. So depending on what you choose, it describes a different path for your game in any way. So I think that's very interesting. I don't think I've seen much of that before, and to be fair, I want to see how it goes, of course, for me to have better perspective on it. But I feel like they do have a little bit of spice on their cooking there, because it looks promising too.
Into the game we go in just a little bit. Again, G2 Hell versus NNOwO. This is the semi-final of the defending champions versus the Dark Horses. Sofchan, J-Real, take it away.
Thank you. 4x4 as we move in to another game, and obviously a shout out to Logitech for giving us that sponsor, you know, and allowing PF3 to be as good as it can be, and not just because of the mic and the headsets, but also the Logitech Dragons. Shout out to them as well. But going into this game, so Chan, obviously we've talked about early game, we've talked about the potential for this one to be played out. Now, a big thing that we saw from NNOwO is that they essentially just ran the early game anyway from that bot side. Are you expecting similar situations, or does Kalista have enough guarantee from the early game that they shouldn't be losing lane just off the bat?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be losing lane just off the bat, but I do feel like NNOwO is really well drafted for this early game. So if they want to pressure just a little bit on Countess, get a flash away, get some summoner spells out of the bot lane, sounds good to me. I think that's enough for NNOwO to just prioritize other lanes afterwards, J-Real. So there is a little bit of both. So Countess can do well, can push, can control, but it's not everything lost in the early game for NNOwO.
Look, Elysia. She's still in the bot lane.
Yeah. What? Oh, it's the hidden Swain. It's the hidden Scion, the deadliest.
No way do they go for this.
The knock-up, though. Let's see.
Taking a leaf out of Adam's book and playing not in their lane for the start of the game, going to be willing to give up a bit of a lead to just force back the side.
Oh, they
of
know.
NNOwO.
I mean, yeah, of course they know. Minions spawned top lane.
Damn, okay.
And a TP! Wow.
Well, what do you make of that? That's obviously not what we're expecting from the get-go.
It's a strategy. They tried it. Oh, another one will be going in. That's Columbus, but falling very low.
Gonna get stunned up here. That's quite a bit of damage, and they are chasing this one down. But you gotta be careful because that's a lot of damage coming back from the Kalista. But they are gonna pick up the first kill. Then they're stunned onto Countess, and this could be a 2-for-0 off the bat. Countess running away from Miela, and we talked about this one. Miela is an absolute dominant force, and 2 kills straight into their pockets off the start of the game.
That is the worst case scenario I could ever see G2L in. J-Real, they are facing such an aggressive composition for early game, and they gave it to them. They gave 2 kills. First off, they decided to go for that very unique, I don't know, surprising maybe, play from Lysia in the bot lane. Didn't quite work well. They were super well prepared to be safe. Oh, talking about safe, she is not.
Oh, here we go. Bringing down the jungler. Sheena going to make her presence felt. A lot of damage onto Miela. Will be able to pick up that kill with a flash. So that is going to be a return of fire from G2. Not going to be allowing NNOwO to get all the glory.
Interesting choice there because Colombo Blue could have gotten the kill, but then it forces the flash from Sheena to take the kill instead. I will say, I am a little conflicted, J-Real. I don't think those choices overall have been that great. Top lane, Lysia going very low.
Yeah, losing out quite a bit onto Zenith, and we talked about how dangerous Zenith can be, right, as a player in general, is quite scary to play against with their carry potential. Obviously, has been playing a couple of tanks as well and doing quite good, but yeah, Lysia is going to find themselves in a tough situation, already a bit of CS down, but we've seen the early prowess from these junglers, but maybe the slow from the gank has caused a bit of a problem for Sheena. Going to be able to dodge away from Super Sana, but how are they going to be able to secure this buff? It looks like Super Sana willing to try and take this one. Doesn't manage to get it though. And now with Tifa roaming, going to force the flash away.
It's such a proactive game so far. 4 minutes into it. 4 kills on the board total. 7.5k gold. That is insane. And all coming out of the board of so much aggression from G2L, trying to get us a trap set in the bottom lane with Lysia. Doesn't work out. Then Colombo Blue goes super deep on getting the first blood before level 2. Don't manage to do it. Miela gets a double kill herself. Huge. Big focus then from G2L to counter-attack. They get Miela. Good. A kill for Sheena in cost of a flash. So at the end of the day, I would say a couple of questionable decisions, but it still guarantees somewhat of a stable ground because you're not going to be needing those summoner spells anytime soon, because the junglers are going to need to farm anyway, so you're not going to get ganked.
Well, we'll see if that does happen. Obviously, very proactive, as you said, 4 minutes, and a little bit of a cooler 5th, right? We have not seen anything crazy just yet, but I imagine this game is going to ramp back up shortly. Dragon has obviously just spawned, and you never know. And NNOwO might go for that early Drake, maybe another repeat gank onto the bot lane. So far, though, it does feel like G2 have weathered that storm. We talked about kind of will Countess get caught off guard if they do take a bit of a hit, but so far it does feel like they've stabilized quite a bit. But what's the kind of time frame for G2? Where do they have to start setting themselves to be ahead? Is it 15? Is it 20? Can they even rely on maybe being 25? Or is it actually they have to get the ball rolling early?
I think they need to do it early, because at this point it's kind of equal, of course, overall in gold and resources. Oh, top lane flashes away Lysia, escaping away from the Ornhorn, and a double gank here in the bottom side area.
Yeah, we do have both junglers. Super Sana is a level up, so maybe going to allow them to have that little bit of an advantage, but both decide it's not going to work out. It is just going to be an easy reset for NNOwO, and also one for Sheena, who has been a very dominant force in G2's side for getting big leads, but so far I think maybe the aggression of NNOwO has almost kind of deferred that, because G2 Hell are now playing almost against their own playstyle.
They really are, because they're usually the ones to be on the very first lead a couple of minutes in, even before 10 minutes on the board, and that's not happening. And as I said, they tried various different things so far, and once it comes to a halt because the junglers need to full clear, they need to get that XP themselves, then we start finally seeing other things happen. So the Drake is going to have full priority for G2 Hell here because of how they have pushed the lane in the bottom side, but I'm pretty sure that NNOwO is kind of aware they have the wards around the area, but they know they can't really fight for this one, J-Real.
Yeah, the first Logitech G Dragon is going to go over to the side of G2, so they will be able to pick that one up for free. A nice Hex Stick to go on to their side, and we'll see if they can kind of continue that Dragon snowballing, or if NNOwO decides to try and take that pressure themselves. Right now, though, Miela quite happily just starting to freeze up that wave near their tower, giving them that security as they do see Sari moving away.
I want to mention again how, I would say, questionable of a decision it was to get Sion on the bottom lane, because right now the Ornn has built 23, oh what a switch lane, okay, 23 CS ahead, and that explains why they're switching up the lanes. She's just so ahead on the Ornn. Zenith knows that she could farm everything. They were just wasting their time in the bottom side. But now things are going to get a little more difficult, because Countess can definitely bully this Ornn god.
Now, obviously, they're playing bot lane up to the top so they can get onto that Rift Herald, but I don't know if it's going to be as perfectly set out for them as they think, because we do have the side of NNOwO starting to move up, although Zenith stepping a little bit far forward, going to take some damage from Countess, but here comes Super Sana, the Ornhorn, going to be on the move, gets the knocker, but it's going to be Elite, so they decide to target. Repel will buy some time for Sheena, but the damage incoming, that's quite a bit, and Sheena just about survives, isn't going to go down, and now Zenith is the one that falls. Super Sana, the next target, as Countess jumping forward, gets her death sentence. It's going to lead to the Rend picking up the kill.
Wow, J-Real, I think half alpha Amelia Sheena was really by that sliver of HP and just survived because of the healing on her ability. So you have a repel going on instantly with that cataclysm. She flashes away. Then you have the concussive shots landing on her, the ignite as well, everything on the spider's head. They really want to get everything out of the way, but it wasn't enough. And then when everything is wasted on one champion, then the enemy team can strike with all their resources themselves. They managed to get 2 kills out of it and going finally into a little bit of a lead. Well, not really. It's still around 500 gold. So even though that was the case, NNOwO still has plenty of farm in stock to be around with CS.
And it almost brings me to the question of, you know, sometimes it's about target focus, right? And you shouldn't overreach for a play. I feel like they got the Ornhorn, we saw the flash come out from Caltis, and then from that point, there wasn't really much more in it for them, because yes, they were able to get a lot of damage onto Sheena. They almost killed Sheena. But it's really difficult to take down that elite and then get away with your life because it just buys so much time. And as we're seeing, G2 are playing really well around that time being bought and being able to get Caltis online with a 3-1. There's a reason that this woman was feared by most players.
That really is. And I think overall, what we mentioned earlier in the draft, J-Real, is that even though this is somewhat of a stalemate for both teams, G2 Hell knows how to control the mid game, so I'm not very worried about them. On the other hand, NNOwO has that composition that can just build such a good curve into mid game, allowing Miela, protecting with Super Ouchie, having engaged with all of the other options with Ornn, Jarvan, and the Braum, that maybe NNOwO was just very, very sure that they could land a good, oh my god, engage though.
We are going to get the death sentence, but the damage will be traded. The box procced as well. Super Santa lying in wait hasn't been caught out yet, but we are going to get the 3v3 action here. But the Cataclysm going to kick this one off. Countess able to hop out of the zone though, and now they can disengage this one. TP going to be coming in, but with the Cocoon, Super Ulchi going to be caught. Shockwave lands, but again, Repel able to buy some time, but Xerath with the Ray of the Arcane getting in a bit of damage, throwing in the artillery as now they move forward once again. Colombia Blue flays them back, but will be the first to fall, but it may not be the only one in this fight. They're looking for more, but can they find anyone? Miela is a little bit further behind the team, but sorry, playing a bouncer, not allowing anyone to get on top of their AD carry, and the stun lands onto Sheena. The Repel again buys more time. In goes Super Santa. The fight is now in full swing, but in goes Caltis, finds one, finds two, looking for a third. Sorry will fall as well, and G2 take a very tense fight in the bot lane.
That is insane. I love the control there from Cultist. First, we have this flash away into the TP that they had going, instantly cocooning that Sheena onto Super Elchi, as you mentioned. The Arcane Barrage hitting from the backline, as we saw, always coming out from Tifa yesterday. And then Cultist was just having a good time. This is the type of fight that a Kalista and a Vayne just thrive so much in. So jumping around, controlling, just at the edge of the fight. Then you have some CC coming out from the rest of the team. Tifa is there. She's going to be doing damage. Then the instant repel again. Even though Sheena goes down, it allows for some time for Countess to still be alive and kite everyone away. And count everyone away. So massive, massive play there from them. But super well played from NNOwO to get so proactive about it. G2's response was spot on though.
No, I might start using that, you know. We are going to see the Logitech G Dragon picked up another one for G2 Hell. But yeah, I might start counting people about, you know what I mean? Like, it's the new form of fighting. Who knows? It could catch on. You never know. This is how things start. But right now, one thing we are seeing start is another play into this bot lane. No Cocoon will land, but the pressure has forced NNOwO away, giving Caltus that space to get a couple of plates on this tower. And not only just plates, but solo gold plates.
It's massive for them. ADC stacking out for 4, 1, and 3. 400 gold bounty. Do have their CS count up there on par. And the best thing about this, I would say, is how Sheena behaved overall on the map. So you had her securing the Herald, goes down, takes the priority in the bottom lane. I mean, actually counters for any potential ganks. They come, they get 3 kills, or at least maybe 4. What was it? 4 kills? Yeah, I think it was because it was a 4. Yeah, 4 kills. So 4 kills guaranteed for G2 Hell. They get the second Drake, Infernal Logitech Drake, and then they just use the Herald on the bottom side. Man, that is master class of jungling.
Yeah, and they got first brick with that as well. So first tower taken to G2. They boosted their lead now almost to a 3k gold lead over the side of NNOwO at that 14-minute mark as the towers do shed off their platings. But how do they keep this snowballing, right? We talked about G2. They needed to get the lead. They have secured that so far. Now what is their plan? Do they start rotating their bot lane top? Do they put them into the mid to gain this control? Because obviously Tifa is playing the Xerath, can keep this wave pushed out, but isn't necessarily the best on the side wave.
I would say get more dominance here on the top side first because the bot lane is already here anyway. And then you rotate for mid lane to take out that tier 1. Gosh, look at the pressure that G2 has, taking Super Senna out of her own jungle. This is not your house anymore. This is mine. And with that, they are just controlling the map. all the river is theirs, the enemy jungle. The lanes are all pushed. Everything is red at this point, burning like hell as they're going to try to go for a dive here on Zenith.
Ooh, but we talked about this before. I think it was yesterday we said there are some champions that are hard to dive, and Ornn is one of them. We are going to see the hook lands, but really nice Billow's Breath from Zenith will stop them from being CC'd. And all in all, it's just going to utilize the Ornn Horn. But right now, Tifa, the one in trouble. Super Stunner with the Cataclysm, but a good flash will get Tifa to safety.
I think overall, not just the macro that G2 Hell has been displaying because of this map control coming from Sheena, we also see that everyone in the team knows exactly how to use their cooldowns. So you escape, you're fine. In the early game, you try something, doesn't work, but this might work.
Oh, I want to say the timing on Lysia getting that knockable on Super Stunner was pretty clutch, and it's left NNOwO again in a situation where they're going to have to run away, and there's a hook onto Super Elchi, but the damage is being returned. Alright, to the Arcane, going to be utilized to pop a little bit more and force Zenith to use that TP, and Caltis deciding, you know what, this isn't the situation we want to be in, we don't want to go a little bit further, but they have another Herald, and that mid tower is looking pretty tasty.
Yeah, it really is. And once again, they have guaranteed the objectives, are going to push in where the priority is good. At one point, top lane, now mid lane. So it makes sense to open up the most important of the tier 1s. TP coming out from the back line.
Super Elchi gonna step up. Doesn't have the shockwave just yet, but here is Zenith. The knockup on to Tifa. Lantern will get them away, and now Zenith, the one in trouble, gonna be taken down, and Caltis can start raining in the spears. The champion of revenge is starting to move forward, taking another life from NNOwO's team and putting more pressure for G2 around the map.
It was an engage that started out with a flank TP from Super Ouchie, and NNOwO didn't win the fight. So that shows exactly how much G2 Hell knows their boundaries and how to space out in a team fight, how to use their abilities. Miela might get a kill on Colombo Blue here with the help from Super Sana, but G2 Hell's support manages to escape.
31 seconds before the next Logitech G Drake is going to be spawning. It's a Mountain Drake, a Mountain Soul, one that I feel like people are a pretty big fan of. You know, who doesn't want a shield and being able to survive a little bit longer? And it does look like NNOwO are going to start positioning a little bit more aggressively for this one, trying to set it up instead of giving over the Dragon like they have previously to G2H.
It just makes so much sense because, as you said, Soul Point arriving, you need to try to get some dominance here in the river, so you protect the next one and you can deny it from your enemy. You're gonna go on Lysia, but is this a fight you want to go here now on the top laner?
Lysia is so tanky as well, man. Like, oh my days, that's going to take a while to get through. Like, Sion is just a little bit of a chunk, a wedge that you just have to work your way through. But it's going to take time, and obviously the rotation from G2 is pretty strong. As the stun does land onto Super Elchi, now right at the Arcane, going to fire over the top. That's a lot of damage onto Orianna, taking them out of the fight so far. Ornn Horn going to be utilized to stop further advances from G2, but G2 have got what they wanted. They've removed the side of NNO from the Drake.
That was such a good stun coming from Tifa. It was max range, if I'm not mistaken. You get Super Elchi just over the wall. Then you can, even though there was not much range for the rest of the team to build up that chain of CC, it was still enough to get Super Elchi like, I need to get the hell out of here. So that's what they end up doing. They had good pressure. And again, why was NNOwO having the dominance on this bottom side of the river, going for pressure onto Lysia that was on the top river? That is not a good choice, I would say, especially when you were trying to deny the next Drake. So G2 Hell just said, well, this is not a good fight. You don't want to pick up a fight with Lysia. We're just going to take the Drake instead.
Yeah, and they're going to take a bit more than that as well. Tower in the tier 1. And I want to ask you, Sophie, how much TFT do you play?
Not really. I don't usually.
Okay, so I don't think, and I don't play too much TFT either, but I don't think that Shadow Isles is any more in the pool. But what I want to say is there could be a new category that G2 have kind of like shown me, which is like villains. Because if we look at like the lore of the champions, right, like Sion, Elise, Zera.
Oh my god!
Okay, I guess Callista not so much a villain, but kind of Shadow Isles is. Yeah. And then Thresh is like this is the villain squad.
It really is. Who else would be a villain? Of course, Evelyn.
Mordekaiser. Yeah, oh, for sure, Evelyn. Pretty much anyone in Shadow Isles is a villain.
Yeah, basically. Oh, man. That's super fun. Love that. up, J-Real, as we're going to go here for the top lane. Is it going to be a fight strike?
Oh, we are going to get the knock up on to Sheena, but we've seen this story before. We've seen that they can get away. They are going to have to burn this flash, though. So Sana picking up on the fact that the repel is going to be utilized quite early, now saving their ultimate to kind of lock them in, as we are seeing the Rise of the Arcane catch out Super L. Cheese! It's enough! Tifa, call her LeBron James the way that she doesn't miss.
Oh no, she doesn't mix it. She's throwing in dunks. Oh my god, Tifa, that was amazing. Even with this shield burning through it and a flash forward onto Tifa herself.
Oh, Miela going aggressive, looking for the kill.
Massive.
Will take that shot down, but how are they going to get out? They are on the wrong side of the rift right now, and they are being chased down. Kaltis going to get aggressive onto Sana, but Sana able to buy a bit more time, getting away. The Ornhorn going to come through to buy even more from Zenith, and they are starting to walk out. They got their kill, and they're gone. Call that a fast takeaway.
Yeah, take my order to leave. That was massive. What a drive-by from NNOwO. And noticing that Tifa, after taking such a good kill on Super Ouchie, they were isolated. Tifa was just on that side of the map. Nobody around to be found. Goes over the wall. Such super activity from Sari. Then lands everything, takes out a kill.
Oh, here we go. Teams are starting to get back. TP coming in, but it's Shockwave catches out 3, and that's going to take 2 down from G2. Now Kaltis trying to kite this one away as Lysia back in zombie form, trying to get a bit more damage, but it is going to be NNOwO with the control. They have lost Super Sana though, so going for the Baron themselves would be not a play. And now Zenith might have caught themselves out a little bit. It's going to be able to get away from Kaltis, but G2 losing out on that fight gives a bit of momentum back to NNOwO.
It's the 2-level completed there on Kai'Sa.
Oh no.
She's gonna be dealing. Oh no, the Sniper Rooski again, and the flash! Alright, Super Elchi does escape in the cost of a summoner spell. But that's what Tifa does, right? She knows that every single time the cooldown is off, if anyone is on her scope, it's gonna be Snipe Day. But overall, I love what NNOwO had going there, because Kai'Sa has reached the power spike. Look at what she could buy just at the back of those 2 fights. Incredible. Half item on the next one she's going for. And on top of that, they also noticed this is the moment that our mid-game, our team fight is superior. They had the shockwave landing so beautifully, as you said, J-Real. Then things were just really well initiated from there.
Wait. Whoa. I just had to look at the items, right? Because you mentioned Kai'Sa. What is Kaltis building? She has a Randuin's.
Oh man. Oh yeah, she does. But she's 7, 1, and 3, so I don't think I am doubting. I am not. I am a believer at this point. I am a believer.
I wasn't expecting this.
Me neither.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Me neither.
Things I wasn't expecting. Kaltis with the Randuins. That's definitely up there today, and we'll see if it does pay out for them. Obviously, they have been doing a lot in these team fights. They have the healing from the Borg. They also have the Ginsu, so they're going to be proccing that attack speed. And I guess you're not going to be building crits. So maybe it is a new build. Maybe it's a new meta.
Yeah, might as well be. Oh my god, TP on the back line, and the fight going on in the mid lane is imminent.
Interesting TP there. They kind of went from a flank position to a forward position in the front to back style. But Dragon is going to be spawning in 3 seconds. That's the next Logitech G Dragon. And G2 Hell are 1 away from the Soul. Counters already starting it up, as we do see NNOwO trying to work their way forward, trying to get towards the pit. And Super Sana really looking to get over this wall. Should be easy with a flag and drag, but the rest of the team trying to buy a bit of space, trying to make it that they don't just jump in and immediately die. But there is Lysia just holding the line, not allowing them forward. Ornhorn gonna buy a bit of space, as we are gonna see Lysia fall down, but it's traded 1 for 1. The Right of the Arcane dropping them like flies. Dragon secured, and G2, yes, it's a 1 for 1, but they also pick up the Logitech G Dragon to take them to a soul.
Massive so for them, because if they have enough damage because of their early game lead, then now they have security as well. They have the shields, they have more protection from the Logitech G Mountain Soul, and having that, it's perfect. You just rotate, take the Scuttle Crab, extra vision, you have as well there at the entrance of the jungle, and you're gonna melt this Baron, because it's a Countess. It's a Countess on Kalista. Kalista's gonna stack the attack speed for days, and she's just going to absolutely destroy the objective.
Baron secured, which means towers are in danger. they could be starting to get opened up here. G2 could really start to push this pressure. We talked about them having that early game, building that lead, and they have done just that. They are still up by about 7k, but need to be careful here. Colombia Blue going to be going down here, as we do see NNOwO still bite back. They are still a dangerous force, and they're looking for a bit more. Lysia going to be knocked up, but now G2's turn to return fire. Zenith going very low, but a sacrificial cataclysm, but Sana gets out as well. A beautiful play to lock in G2 and get themselves out of there. The zone isn't done yet. There's the unstoppable force going to be able to move forward, but it's not going to be enough. The unstoppable onslaught just catching out of the Ornn, but it will not be enough to take them. But what can they take from it? Towers are in their sights.
J-Real, that was a snipe. Super Senna died to one of the snipes from Tifa just in the fog of war. That was massive. And overall, I would say that this team fight started out well from NNOwO. They had that tier 1 to try to conquer through. They got that front line to tank any abilities, the Thresh, the Xerath, and then perfect, they take the tower. Get one kill, tries to get out of it, but the team does just not have enough to try to escape Sion, Kalista, everything on the side that can dash, go forward, take a very big hook. It's just going to catch you at the end of the day. As you said, it's the villains team. So that ends up going so well for G2 Hell, even though it started out super good for NNOwO.
And I will say, we talked obviously a little bit pre-game about G2 not necessarily having the best track record of closing games out in Pathfinders 2. And the one thing that is starting to worry me is, although G2 have set themselves up very well, they're 8k in the lead, they've got multiple towers, they cleared out some tier 2s, they've picked up Barons, the list goes on. But they have opened up the potential for Elder Drake to be on the map for the side of NNOwO to claim that back. And NNOwO have been showing in some of these later team fights that they're not done yet. They are still very dangerous in this game.
They really are. Even though we have G2 Hell 7k gold ahead, it's, as you say, the Elder Drake is just massive. Being able to chunk down and execute on that 10%, 5% health is just going to be amazing for NNOwO, because if they are lacking damage, then that would help quite a bit. But damage as well is going to be raining on these turrets, as they still have G2 Hell Baron, and they're going to push in forward as long as they think it's worth it. But they also got to be careful. You said the threat from mid-game and team fighting from NNOwO is still there.
And let's double down on that, right? When do NNOwO get online? Is it item dependent? Is it time dependent? Is it just even team fight dependent? What are they looking for?
Oh, it's the three of them. It was the power spike with gold and resources from Kai'Sa. It's also the power spike on levels, for example, for level 11 on the Ariana for the shockwave. And as soon as you keep on doing it, and on the side of the team fights you mentioned, the Ornhorn, the Glacial Fissure from Braum, everything just can line up super well for them, but it has to be well executed in the team fights, because they were behind and they still are. But considering how well G2 Hell has controlled objectives, they are not as behind as they could be.
Ooh, Super Sana. Glad that they're tanky, because they are getting picked up here and there, but they will survive. They will be able to move on a little bit longer. Oh, beautiful lantern, by the way, from Colombia Blue, saving Kaltis from a potential knock-up and giving them that space to recall. It was a really good economy Baron. They weren't necessarily looking to break open the base, but they did clear all the tier 2s, and I think ended it with like a 3k advantage from that one alone. So now that they've got that, they've been able to go back, they've been able to spend their gold, and by the way, this Kaltis build is just getting wilder and wilder.
Yeah. It really is. I think this is the moment where we sit and learn from the players, isn't it, J-Real? Because some innovative things just don't come from casters. They come from us seeing if it works in the game and casting these players themselves. So it is working. It's working so much. But on the side of NNOwO, they have the Kai'Sa 4-2 and 4. Finish the 4 items there. You have the Umbral Glaive, you have Penetration with the Void Staff. Everything can go right, but is it?
Oh, here's a big engagement onto Caltis. They go. No matter how many defenses you buy, you're still squishy, and they remove her from the map. And are they going to be able to finish off the rest of the team? The Kaisar now with much less threat, but they do have to be careful of that Zerathitha, able to get a little bit of damage down. And Lysia starting to move forward with Sheena. Maybe they can return fire. Maybe they can take this back into their control. They picked up one to even out the stakes, and Sana having to run away. Sari going to be picked up, and Super Elchi also being hunted down. It looks like G2. Yes, Caltis is a great player for them, but it's not the only one that you have to worry about. Multiple members barreling down. Super Elchi, super low. A Cocoon would end it all, but it's not going to be enough because Sana turns that one around. They will trade though. Super Elchi finally goes down as Miela able to run away, but does Colombia Blue have enough? The hook misses, but the dragon is up, and no one is taking it just yet.
What an endless pursuit, J-Real. Oh my god, I had one eye on the ball lane, the other eye on Tifa and Columbia Blue on the top side trying to take Miela. That was some fun watches. Man, is the minion gonna take... My god. They're not even there and the minions took it. And overall, I think that's such a good analogy for how G2Hell can control the map. They're not even there, and still they get things out of it.
Yeah, Winions, they're the MVP, right, really. Like, we are seeing a little bit of an overstay there from Sana, going in aggressively onto that Drake, was scared that they was being taken, and is going to pay with it with their life. Miela having to play dodgeball there, will be able to get away, but again, at what cost? They're super low. They have to leave this, and this means that G2 should secure this Elder Drake, unless there's a miracle play from Zenith with the Ornhorn.
Yeah, I don't think there's any miracle they're gonna save them at this point, especially because Super Senna is down. No Smite, no jungler. The Ornhorn is there, but there is no steal on it, unfortunately. But G2Hell does guarantee the Logitech Elder Drake Soul, and if they were melting everyone before, they are definitely going to do it on double speed now.
Yeah, this is like when you have a warm knife through butter. Now they're that scalding hot. You know that man on YouTube that like furnace their knife and then cut things? That's what they're like now.
Yeah, they took this Baron the first time so easily and so fast that this time you can just leave Sheena alone, taking it by herself at the end, and it's just no worries whatsoever. That pressure has gone on to 12k, J. We're almost 12k gold ahead, and all the objectives on the board. Absolutely every single thing.
Yeah, there could potentially be some hope for NNOwO, but it's going to be a long shot right now. They need to wait out this Elder Drake before they can fight, but I don't know if G2 are going to give them that opportunity. I think they're going to keep pushing this one. I think they're going to keep making this play for it. And realistically, they do still have a little bit of time, right? They have 20 seconds left on this Elder Drake, and they're starting to siege the base. This is a very dangerous time for NNOwO, but it's going to be a little bit cooler. But for what base are you going to be left with? They're going to lose 2 inhibs at least, and now the pressure is on. Are G2 going to go for the end game here? Do they keep pushing? They have the minions, they have the power, they have the Baron buff, and it looks like they are just going to siege for this final 2 towers. They go aggressive here. They're going to take one, and then NNOwO, if you want to make a play, you got to do it quick because your base is crumbling around you, and the right of the Arcane will pick up one. The tower will fall, the Ornhorn to stall, but it's not going to be enough. They step forward. G2 show exactly why they are 2-time champions.
Well, if the guy on YouTube brings in the scalding hot knife on butter, then G2Hell brings infernal fires onto NNOwO, guaranteeing the first win of their matchup in today.